The Cartoon Network gives you great cartoons all day, every day, but you're still hungry for more.
Give me more!
All right, you cartoon hogs. How about a 3-hour super chunk of one great Toon Star every Sunday? Like Johnny Quest.
Give me more!
Or Godzilla.
Give me more!
Ooh, you little piggy.
Super chunks!
If you're not getting the Cartoon Network, call your cable operator, because you know you want a super chunk. Sundays at 4 on the only network that can feed your toon hunger.
Cartoon Network.
Welcome to Checker Childhood, a classic Cartoon Network podcast covering many, many years of Cartoon Network's history.
I'm funky. I'm fresh.
Hi, the Powerpuff Girls. Hi.
Not now, boy. I'm busy. Tonight's the third night.
Greetings, ToonHeads. It's your host, BDubs, and this is Checker Childhood, a classic Cartoon Network podcast dedicated to all things animation from the 1990s and early 2000s. Today, we're grabbing a bite to eat by leaping back into an earlier, more simpler time of Cartoon Network history, where we'll sample a healthy portion of cartoons. I'm talking, of course, about one particular programming block that set the tone for marathons to come, and it took a whopping 3-hour bite out of its audience attention upon airing. I'm referred to, of course, Super Chunk, a mascot-driven helping of classic and emerging tunes paired with a few more surprises hidden in its secret sauce. Let's dive in, shall we?
Ooh, you little piggy.
Super Chunk is one of 100 programming blocks of the channel's history that has spanned across the checkerboard and Powerhouse era consistently from 1994 to 2001. It was then removed from the schedule until it had a brief revival in 2009 with a revamped gloomy indie look to fit the nudes era. Including the final iteration, this programming block spanned a total of 4 Cartoon Network generations, beaten only by Toonami and Cartoon Network's Cartoon Theater as the longest-running programming block in the Checker channel's history. By its very nature, Super Chunk builds upon similar previous Cartoon Network programming blocks, Two of a Kind, or Big Wednesday, that are purely a short marathon based on a revolving collection of cartoon content.
It's monumental, it's gargantuan, it's big, and it's right here on the only place you can see it. It's Wednesday, and it continues here on Cartoon Network.
The original male mascot character was animated by David M. Strandquist during the checkerboard era from June 1994 to 96, who made several other hand-drawn Cartoon Network bumpers in the mid-90s. The commercials were later animated by Colossal Pictures for the CGI versions following it. The 2D animated character was voiced by the same guy we all know and love for Zorak and Moltar, the late C. Martin Croker. Rest in peace. During the Starburst era, a kid with a hunger for cartoons would be replaced by a checkered CGI rocket ship during 1998 that would try to suck up the featured cartoon of the block in its black and white dotted tractor beam. The redesigned 10 to 25 second bumpers also featured a bubblegum-esque font sitting on top of a metallic silver and blue font for the programming block's new logo, and was complemented by a more ambient sci-fi instrumental music track instead of the more goofy, industrial-sounding one tied to the big boy mascot.
On the next Super Chunk, watch Yogi try to steal picnic baskets and then ponder this question. If that were your picnic basket, would it still be funny? It sure would. The Yogi Bear Super Chunk, Saturday at 4.
This pop sci-fi look appeared between Cartoon Network commercials until September 30th, 2000. The block was then shelved for 9 years for unknown reasons. Back when Super Chunk was live on TV, viewers could typically find it on the channel starting on 3 to 6 p.m. on Sundays, and later shifting to Saturdays from 4 to 7 p.m. During its lifetime, Super Chunk covered a total of 57 different shows, which was a mix of old classics and new originals across its lifetime. Typically, the marathons were either mixed or a theme of one show for the day, such as Super Chunk block dedicated to Alvin and the Chipmunks. Dexter's Lab made its mark as the first original Cartoon Network series to take advantage of the programming block for additional exposure, and Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, and Powerpuff Girls would follow in its footsteps.
Why should I, Dexter, star in the next Super Chunk on Cartoon Network? For one, Super Chunks are super, just as I, the cartoon world's greatest scientist, am also super. Number 2, you're chunky!
Watch Dexter's Extra Chunky Super Chunk, Saturday at 4, only on Cartoon Network.
For a complete full list of every show making an appearance on Super Chunk, you can consult the link I have placed in the description of this episode. Taking a bigger bite. To make a successful programming block, It's understood you need an effective theme with accompanying visuals to set the tone of what genre of content viewers at home will get to see packaged within it. Other programming blocks like Power Zone or Late Night in Black and White, for example, had a clear, indisputable identity, complete with matching graphics and checkers in the background to hint at its content. Superchunk naturally needed some sort of visual identity itself to follow suit. By taking a page from the book of Moxie to hook young viewers' attention, a mascot unique to this block had to be created to represent the brand. Enter Superchunk's 2D animated male character, defined by short, spiky red hair, a purple shirt marked by the yellow letters SC, and black and white checkered shorts that are 2 sizes too tight. While this character lacks depth and a name, he can be remembered and recognized for his 2 defining traits: an insatiable appetite for cartoons and his catchphrase, "Gimme more!" This guy would take a bite out of the screen to reveal which show would get the Superchunk Marathon treatment of the week. During commercials, the mascot would even take a bite out of the Cartoon Network logo as a nod to its title. Something odd I noticed when reviewing old Superchunks commercials is how different this character both looked and behaved in Europe. Perhaps it was due to the difference in frame rate, as TVs across the pond projected a signal at a rate of 25 frames per second versus the 24 or 30 frames per second we had for shows in America. And so the quirky Superchunk Boy design was remodeled in 3D to promote its own set of Superchunk commercials for Cartoon Network UK.
Howdy, Toon Hogs.
Superchunk!
Check out that Toon Monster Superchunk.
Give me more!
Okay, big boy. This Saturday afternoon at 1, that gut-busting cartoon carnivore Superchunk
Superchunk!
will be bringing you a 2-hour Toon buffet of Tom and Jerry.
Give me more!
2 full hours of top Toon entertainment on the best place to satisfy your Toon hunger, Cartoon Network.
By contrast of the US version, the revamped version of this character and the pacing of the footage behind him was a bit more sluggish and bouncy, and it also had a different airtime to accompanying it, usually Sundays at 1 p.m. from what I've seen. But if you want to see the visual differences of these characters firsthand for yourself, a rare 1998 UK commercial can be found on the Internet Archive's website or on YouTube. What I find most interesting about this UK counterpart is he integrates himself more into the cartoon footage he's presenting. And in that one of them, he's actually seen shirtless wearing his checkered shorts floating in a pool next to the 4-hour block instead of 3 hours, which I find unusual. If you haven't seen the early checkerboard era of Superchunk commercials before, definitely check them out. They are strongly reminiscent of the ambitious, fun tone of a bygone era. From what I've researched, the first shows of Superchunk involved Captain Planet and the Planeteers, SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron, Two Stupid Dogs, and Godzilla. Later shows that would be incorporated include Hanna-Barbera classics such as Adam Ant, The Jetsons, Yogi Bear, Pixie and Dixie, Quick Draw McGraw, Secret Squirrel, The Impossibles, and 90s cartoon originals that were mentioned before. There are also a few syndicated 80s and 90s cartoons from Hanna-Barbera that got into the mix, such as The Misadventures of Ed Grimley, Fantastic Max, Tasmania, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Batman the Animated Series, Beetlejuice, The Centurions, The Smurfs, and Casper and the Angels. And we even had a few modernized kid-friendly adaptations too, such as A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Tom and Jerry Kids, and Droopy and Dribble. Also, we couldn't forget a few Golden Era animation shorts too, like Tom and Jerry and Droopy, which appeared on rare occasion in Superchunk. In addition to that, we had Popeye, the UPA version, not the black and white version, and Bugs and Daffy and Porky Pig cartoons too. As for newer Sienna originals that we'd see in later versions of Superchunk, we had Total Drama Island and Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Apparently there's also this show called Big Bad Grizzly Party Bear that was included, but that might be part of the Nudes era. I don't recognize it at all. So there's not really much info to cover about Superchunk, other than that it was a programming block that was around for a while on Cartoon Network. But I do have some memories of watching it growing up. I loved tuning in to this marathon when I wasn't too interested in Toon Disney, Kids WB, Fox Kids, or Nickelodeon. It's how I prefer to get my weekend dose of Tom and Jerry, Two Stupid Dogs, Fantastic Max, Godzilla, and even Dexter's Lab from what I can remember. I still recall trying to draw the character on the screen too in 1995 when he first popped up on screen, because he just looked so much fun that I had to have him on paper to remember him by. But I often could only draw his head or a limb before the commercial ended because it went by pretty quick, and I wasn't that fast of an artist back then. However, seeing Super Chunk, the mascot, was one of those turning points in my life where my parents recognized my potential to become a cartoonist. And I still appreciate the character's fun design today, as I've designed him for the episode art. Makes me wonder what he would do on TV if he's got his own animated series. Do you have any ideas, ToonHeads? Let me know in the comments. What I love most about watching the Super Chunk bumpers themselves were actually the trivia element tied to the shows being displayed between the commercial breaks in the marathon.
And now it's time again to play Name That Villain! He attributes his glowing personality to a steady diet of radiation. Who is he? The answer after this. He attributes his glowing personality to a steady diet of radiation. Who is this evil villain? Duke Nukem, of course! And now back to Super Chunk!
The questions shown added a layer of interactivity, shifting the audience from passive viewer to active participant. And to this day, it has fostered a deeper love of pop culture trivia within me and countless other fans. There was even a limited edition t-shirt giveaway for answering Super Chunk trivia back then, where if you sent the paired answer on a postcard to Cartoon Network's Atlanta studios, you could win one yourself. How cool is that? As far as I know, it's the only programming block to have some sort of physical merchandise connected to it.
Hey, Toon Hogs! Hungry for a brand new Super Chunk t-shirt? Super Chunk! Just watch Super Chunk on Saturdays and you can win a Super Chunk t-shirt from the big boy himself. Super Chunk! Saturday beginning at 4, only on Cartoon Network.
So that's a fun little bit of trivia for you. In case you're curious what the trivia on Super Chunk was like, here's an example where I've lifted 3 trivia tidbits from a commercial bumper based on some of the Marathon Lineups cartoons. Can you guess the answers without looking it up? Play along at home or in the car right now without touching your phone. Now, this is Checker Childhood Trivia Chunk. The first question is from the show The Fantastic Four. And the question is, to what distance can Reed Richards contort his body? You have 5 seconds to figure it out, or just press pause before I reveal the answer. Give up? The answer is about 1,500 feet. We also have a trivia bit from Captain Planet, one of my personal favorites from the Super Chunk block. The question is, what star from the syndicated series Star Trek The Next Generation also provided the voice for Kwame in Captain Planet? Have an idea of what the answer could be? Press pause now to figure it out, or simply move on from here to find out. The answer is LeVar Burton, who plays Chief Engineer Geordi LaForge. Bonus, he also bears the power of Earth and serves as the unofficial leader of the Planeteers. And you might also recognize him from Reading Rainbow to all you 80s and early 90s kids. Our third trivia tidbit is from Popeye on Super Chunk. And the question is, who was the creator of Popeye? Pause this podcast episode right now to see if you can guess it without using your phone. All right, what'd you come up with, ToonHeads? The answer is cartoon genius LZ Chrisley Seeger, also known as EC.
Give me more of my brilliant Super Chunk. Cartoon Network will return.
So how'd you do? Did you enjoy this fun little interactive tangent? Do you think it could be improved or expanded upon? Perhaps we can do something like this again in another episode dedicated to checker programming blocks here on Checker Childhood. So with all that being said, why does Super Chunk even matter? How does it stand apart from all the other programming blocks that aired across Cartoon Network's history? Well, programming blocks in an era of appointment television were a great way to catch up with your favorite shows for an extended period of time. Normally, you would either have to record them on a VCR and then watch them later, or if you happen to miss it due to eating lunch, doing errands, or homework, you would just have to cross your fingers and hope they would air a rerun at a later date, leaving the episodes you want to see largely up to chance. With a 3-hour marathon, you could have just enough time to see a variety of what you want of a show on any given weekend day, and dig deeper to appreciate it for what it is. something we take for granted today with the endless streaming content available. In a way, such TV schedules influence people's watching habits if they're into binging shows. I could be wrong, but it seems like a natural progression, especially for animation lovers, to just marathon all these different shows that they've grown to love over the years. With a mascot to represent the identity of the block, it helps solidify and remember what you saw so you can find it in between commercials and come back for more. The visuals, the catchphrases, the artwork, and the music of Superchunk specifically all sticks in your mind so well that you can remember the information later and tune to it when it airs, simply because of something like a catchphrase, "Gimme more!" or the fact that he would bite Cartoon Network's logo. I guess, all things considered, TV programming works both ways between the viewer and the content they see on the tube. So that's all we have for you today on Superchunk. I'm all out of cartoons, and whether you're still hungry or not, you'll just have to satisfy your appetite elsewhere. But here's a closing question before we go. What shows did you used to watch on Superchunk in the 90s on Cartoon Network? If you'd like to share any of the ones that you can recall, email us at checkerchildhood@gmail.com or leave a comment on Spotify or YouTube to chime in. You can also rate and review this podcast on Spotify, speaking of, or wherever else you happen to listen to this podcast episode, whether it be Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or any of the other options that are available. If you do, I'll definitely share your review with our fellow listeners in a future episode. You have to contact me for it to count. I can't read your mind after all. Alright, tune in next time when we celebrate the 4th of July with a trip to the past, when we do an episode review of Time Squad's Betsy Ross Flies Her Freak Flag. What kinds of hijinks do Otto, Larry, and Buck Togrussel have to resolve in order to preserve American history? You'll just have to find out in episode 16, on the day our nation was born, the one this podcast originates from. Even if Superchunk is a bit of a niche of a topic as can be for Cartoon Network, it still was quite fun sharing these checker childhood memories with you all. I appreciate your willingness to listen to this little show of mine, and hopefully, like best friends, we'll do it together real soon. I think it's time to have a snack and binge some cartoons like a little piggy for a few hours more. Have a tunerific day. Later.
Superchunk, 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 Superchunk.
Superchunk!